Hello, friends. Terry Knickerbocker here at the studio in Brooklyn with a wonderful honor and pleasure to spend some time with Matthew Dudley. Matthew Dudley, I'll introduce you, and is a trained actor, a Meisner-trained actor, but has really made his specialty the voice, and specifically the work of Kristen Linklater, with whom you worked for many years here in Scotland, different places, and is the head of our voice program here at Terry Knickerbocker Studio. And thank you for being here. Thank you for this conversation.
Yes.
Thank you for the work you do for our students.
Yeah, it's completely my pleasure. I consider the studio my home studio. It's my creative home. It's a great pleasure. We just wrapped up a class last night, and it was just so full of joy, and I'm so glad to be a part of that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Was that level 3?
It was voice 3, yeah, which I call bringing speech to life, and it's where we take, where we get into the sounds, the components of language, vowels and consonants, and shaping that into language, and then that segues into dialects and accents. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we had a blast.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it was enjoyable. So we're here at Industry City in Brooklyn, which is a set of former industrial buildings, 6 million square feet, and owned by the same folks who own Chelsea Markets, if you know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Belvedere Capital. And when I came here 11 years ago, I had to sort of audition for the space.
Wow.
It wasn't just a rental thing, because they were being very selective about who they wanted here. They wanted people who fit into a category of what they called makers.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of make a case for
Yeah.
what we make. Actors make things, they make behavior,
Right.
but we had to say what this enterprise, the studio, was. So I think we make actors.
Great. Yeah.
And we take actors or people who want to be wonderful actors and their talent, and what do we do? What is your contribution in that cooking?
Yeah, I love the idea. Well, make actors. I'm not sure I use that phrase, but I totally love the idea that we are putting something together.
Yeah.
Training actors. I love training actors. I didn't know I was going to like it that much, but I'm really inspired by it. And what I do, my part of that is to help actors come into an awareness of their voice. And through that awareness of their voice, they know more about themselves and have a capacity to tell a story more fully, more deeply. That's really, really the long shot of it all.
And more authentically.
Fantastic. Yeah, more authentically, with a connection to themselves. You know, Kristen wrote ages ago, my mentor, an actor, it's not to use your voice to describe a story, but to use your voice, one's voice, to reveal the imagination. And I think that is almost a guiding star for me, is if I can help an actor develop the way to knowing themselves and revealing their own thoughts and feelings more fully, more authentically, then we're on to something. Then someone can give them a script and they can reveal themselves through that script. Reveal that script through themselves.
Which makes it their own unique, like if we can have 10 Hamlets, and it will hopefully all say something about what Shakespeare's trying to say, but also the uniqueness of each actor.
Completely.
And their imagination and how they understand Ophelia, etc.
Right. No one wants cookie cutter.
Correct.
No one wants cookie cutter. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's not right or wrong. It is Are you connected to yourself? Are you connected to your own impulses? And are you connected to who you're working with? Are you connected to the audience? It really is about developing that. Yeah.
This is Kristen's book. This is the second edition, I guess, of it, Freeing the Natural Voice, which is a lovely idea, because there is a cookie cutter approach to voice that at least used to be old school.
Yes.
Right.
Sound like this,
Sound
and you
like
can make
this.
it.
Like we used to talk about standard American.
Absolutely.
Right. And accent reduction.
Right.
Which I now kind of think is almost a racist idea.
Yeah.
Right. It's as if where you're from and who you sound like is wrong, and you need to sound more like this.
Yes.
Right? If you're from Kentucky, that's bad.
Right.
So talk a little bit. So just,
it's there's a heartbeat to that quest, because we just finished Voice 3, and that's all about learning how you shape voice into sound. And much of that is, if you come from Kentucky, how are those vowels coming out of you? Most importantly is, number one, you're connected to them. You're speaking what you know. The second thing is the audience receiving it? Is the audience receiving? Are they getting it? If your speech is somehow shaped in a way that the audience doesn't get it, that's an actor's failure. That's on the actor to shift. So there has to be a sensitivity and an intelligence. Can I speak fully? Can I be authentic? Can I maintain my integrity? And yet, can I speak in a way where the audience is receiving exactly what I'm saying? And that's about self-awareness. That's about developing self-awareness, and that's about knowing oneself. Yeah.
And so we start with the best version of your voice, owning that,
knowing that,
experiencing that,
yes,
being aware of that. That involves the anatomy, because it gets made out of this body.
Right.
So could you maybe give some case studies of opportunities that maybe people didn't know about when they came into Voice 1, and like, you can make up names or you can use their names or whatever, but like what happened? How did someone...
It happens across the board.
Yeah.
It happens across the board. It happened to me a jillion times over and over again. We come in and I can just put it out very simply. I'm hoping that I can lead them through a series of exercises that helps them develop and strengthen and know their voice, and develop a lucid picture of their voice. How does the voice work? How does their voice work? So through Voice 1, we're developing that awareness. What are the habits that I have? What are the behaviors that I have that are compromising or thwarting my ability to speak clearly, fully, and connected? So Voice 1 is a lot about awareness and developing that awareness and maybe dismantling some of those habits. And then Voice 2 becomes something where, okay, I know a little bit more. I can practice this a little bit on my own. I can practice with my group. And now let's see where the voice can land. Let's see how far we can expand ourselves through our voice. And, people come in. Number one is people don't consider their voice. I hear this over and over again. I never thought about my voice.
Or they don't like their voice.
Well, that would be number two, right? So I didn't think about my voice, and then the other one, the person next to them is saying, I hate my voice. and it's like, ooh, I get it, but we have to start a new conversation. We have to renegotiate that contract, because that is the voice that we've got, and let's start there and then begin to open it up and open up a relationship with it so that we can make adjustments to it so that you're working fully, authentically.
Do you know this thing they call vocal fry?
Sure.
So what, maybe they even think that's their voice, which it's the current expression of their voice.
Right.
But it has some limitations.
Sure.
So how would you gently invite some possibilities with that, for instance?
So if we're so we go to vocal fry, and so in a class, it'll come up. I won't talk about it too much. I'll listen to it, I'll hear it, and then I'll start to develop this picture. And maybe we start to identify how that vocal fry works, or maybe I don't even use that phrase, but I start to say, well, can you feel this? Maybe you could...
Like, what's not online with that?
Exactly. Well, so I would say, talking specifically about vocal fry, the first thing that I'm going to sort of identify is, where are you feeling your breath? Where are you experiencing breath? And if you can experience breath, then we have a blueprint for experiencing voice. So once we have that blueprint of breath, we can start to go on to vibration. Now, where do you feel your vibrations? Are you feeling them in your throat, sitting back on your vocal folds? Are you back here? Is this where you like to be? Is this where you want to keep your cards, sort of stay back here? Or is it possible that you could perhaps dare to come forward and bring your voice into your mouth, not only into your onto your lips, but then next stop, it's going to land on another human being.
Right.
Right. So there is a pathway of understanding breath to vibration, vibration up and out and landing on somebody else, an audience member or another acting partner or a space or whatever it might be. That's really that's a very simple progression, a very good example of how the progression of voice 1 and even voice 2 can work.
Right. And that doesn't happen fast. I remember when I was doing the Linklater work as an acting student, just the idea of breath, most of us don't know what breath could be. We just know how we breathe. And I was there like, oh, breath. And I thought breath meant this.
Yeah.
And
support.
Right. And I didn't even know that I had intercostal muscles, which are the muscles between your ribs, or that you could actually experience breath in your sacrum and in your back, and that, like, I got taught about this 6-sided box.
Sure, yes.
That has the possibility of just like lying down on the floor and just like put your hand on your belly or just below your belly button, and can you send breath just there, nowhere else? Or can you put your hands on someone else's ribs and invite them to, and when you feel that, then you can sort of start to put the breath there, and then ultimately can really just the breath part.
Yeah, the picture starts to become so active.
Yes.
It's not postcard picture.
Yes.
It's like experiential
it's your picture. Yes.
Absolutely. And so when working at the studio with you, because I know you're down the hall, I have my studio down in 410 and you're down the hall. When I talk about breath now, it's centered around the work that I teach as a voice teacher, but I also know that when they walk in to do the acting with you, that their breath is going to be a part of success, part of fulfillment, part of fullness, or if the breath doesn't come in that door with them, I know as an actor, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's the thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just, you and I could talk about the vocal prowess, the vocal power and suppleness in your class, in that studio. But I also think that breath leads to following impulses.
And experiencing the other person. Like, you can breathe out, but also breathe in.
Yeah,
breathe
them
world,
in.
Take them in, experience them, not blocking them. It's related to tension.
Completely. So when we're down in voice class, the work that we're doing there, 100% in my mind, is serving the quest that these actors walk in with.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and that's what I love. I love that you are a trained Meisner actor who happens to specialize in voice, and you're not just in a voice silo. Because we're not trying to have lovely voices for like being in our castles. Right. We're trying to actually tell stories, live stories with other people, for audiences and for the camera. And when this instrument has more possibilities, the stories get richer.
Completely. And I mean, to toot our horn, I really mean this. I think that the arrangement of the voice training at TKS and the acting training at TKS is woven together in a very unique way. I really think that that's true. And I mean unique in that you're not going to find it in every program or department. I really, really mean that.
Well, thank you. And if my mother were alive, she'd be very happy. But why? Why? I mean, because you can find voice. Every program has voice and acting.
Every program has voice, and there are a lot of great voice teachers out there, whether they're Linklater-trained voice teachers or not. I think that the symbiosis between my training as a Meisner actor and what I glean from you and how you're training the actors and what I'm doing, having trained with Kristen and doing that technique, I just think that Meisner and Linklater are working together here in the studio in a unique way.
Yeah, the lineages are very close to the tree, and they work well together.
I think they work fantastic together. Now, there are other programs that teach Meisner and teach Linklater. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I consider myself a Meisner-trained actor, almost primarily. And, and I teach voice. And so when I'm teaching, I'm doing it with other actors.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Even though if you were a salesman, you'd also, not you, but one could get some benefit from this. Like there are people, Patsy Rodenberg teaches a lot of business people.
Absolutely,
how to
100%.
communicate. And by the way, you'll become more effective. I told you the other day, when I went to NYU for training, I went there because I wanted to become a good actor. And they said, well, here's a menu. Mm-hmm. It's like going to a steak restaurant because you want the steak. And they're like, well, you're also going to get potatoes and broccoli.
Right.
And those felt like side dishes, and I went like, okay, but actually, your acting gets better when you work on the voice.
Right.
And so sometimes people don't see the need, like, well, I just want to act on film. Why do I need a voice?
Yeah.
Can't I just talk? I have a mic.
Right.
And what I know.
Can't the audio guy take care of that?
Yeah. And what I notice when I go to places I love to teach in, like Atlanta and Vancouver, which are primarily film and TV markets, local higher markets, is that there's no voice work.
Right.
Because they become a little dependent on these microphones that I have and you have right now. And like, we could just be talking like this, we go, how you doing?
Right.
And that's what Larry Moss calls faux naturalism.
Yes.
Right? And you look at a Frances McDormand or even Denzel Washington, who can do a Broadway show, and then they do a movie, and it's not like they're going, whoa, the audio, like there's vibration there that's in proportion.
Right.
But it feels rich and, and also their use of language. That's the other thing I notice is that they leave so much money on the table when it comes to words.
Right.
I
believe that the voice training that we do for film and television, it serves film and television very, very well because of specificity of thought, which when your face is, full 12 feet high and as big as life, as big as a billboard, I think that you better be specific in your thought. And I think that this work helps you become specific in your thought. And I think that it's the revelation of those thoughts and feelings through voice vibration that we can train irregardless of the forum, whether we're in a 1,000-seat theater or the camera right up front. I think that specificity of thought and the clarity of release pays off for you. If you're training for film and television, I think voice work is absolute. It will show up if you're not. Because oftentimes we're just inside of ourselves. We're not going out, just like you demonstrated. So we're not going out. It's all inside. And there's no expression there.
And there's no meeting.
Yeah.
Or
storytelling.
Patsy talks about first circle, second circle, and third circle. First circle mean I'm just with myself. Third circle mean I'm just with you.
Yeah.
It's this I and thou thing that is giving and receiving vibrationally with language, with thought. And that's hard to do.
It is hard to do, but it's the job. That's the craft that we're developing.
Yes, it should be hard to do. Otherwise, there'd be even more actors. And there are too many.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, it's simple, but it ain't easy. You know, there's
yes.
work to be done.
Yes.
You know, it's
Talk
not every
about,
day.
you use a word that I love, which is, I think it's the word you use. The two words I associate with you are vibration.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you use a lot of words, but that word, the experience of vibration, the transmission of vibration, and practice.
Yeah.
Those two words.
You've nailed me. Okay.
Yes, that's the word
You
cloud.
got me.
So I love the idea of practice
Yeah.
as a vehicle for gaining mastery and consistent results that make you feel confident.
Yeah.
And showing up, like I play the guitar and the piano, and like it's not good. I confess that when I knew I was having my lesson coming up and I hadn't practiced for a while, I'd spend 2 hours that morning cramming so that I'd have something. That is not as effective
Right.
as even 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
So talk about the consistency of practice and what you get out of that and why that discipline is important.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us run into life and we do 2 hours before our lesson or whatever it is. I think that happens all the time. And no, it's not as effective. And so I find myself in class, at some point in voice one, I'm starting to say, okay, you should be able to do this practice regularly. You should be able to, and they say, what are we doing? And I say, okay, well, let's say for tomorrow, it's going to be 7 minutes. Let's say you're going to set it aside as 7 minutes. And then the following day, we're going to go to 10 minutes. And so I basically up that ante as we go along. Just continue to try to find 15 minutes in your day to do this, to focus on the exercises that we're doing over and over again. Because, and it really comes down to, again, when they walk into your class, in order to do their work, I'm hoping that they're not distracted or thinking about their breath or the back of their tongue. That would be a shame if I had set them up for that. What I'm hoping for is that their daily practice of 15 minutes of this exercise or that exercise, or their preparation, okay, it's classes in 15 minutes, I'm going to do a quick warm-up, and then we're going to begin. So they're preparing themselves to do the work of an actor. And so that when they come in, they can begin to do what they're supposed to be doing, not thinking about, oh, I wonder if my tongue is tense or whatever it might be. I don't want them distracted by that.
Right.
So that practice starts to show up and behaviors start to change. Habits start to break down and new habits start to form. Talk about that neuroplasticity. You're creating new pathways of understanding through this practice over and over again. And that starts to show up in your acting. So at the end of a 2-year program here, they have a way of practicing over and over again. Not all the answers are going to be right in front of them, but their way of solving for answer could be within themselves. That's really what practice is. If I could impart to anyone, it would be, find a practice.
And what you practice, you get good at.
Right. And you'll see it shows up.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Yeah.
You go sit in the orange chairs after they work, and then they go, how did that go? Oh yeah, I felt a little freer this time, or whatever it might be.
So if you've been listening to this conversation, which I hope you have been, friends, these are two guys of a certain age who obviously, hopefully you can tell, care about what we do, care about our students, care about the craft. I was talking to you the other day about this article in the Times about mid-TV, which is a Gen Z word, I guess, for I mean, it's okay. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, I was in Brazil 2 summers ago, and we got where we were going late, and for some reason there was a festival, so all the restaurants that were supposed to be open weren't. And we needed some food, so we picked this place, but it was like, I mean, it gave us some calories and some nutrition, but man, it was horrible. Yeah. And like, people settle for that.
Yeah.
Because I think people actors, you ask them what their goals are, and they say, well, they just want to work. And I don't want to just like fill my evening with TV.
Right.
Like, I don't want to just go to the theater to go to the theater. I want to see something that's extraordinary, that's going to change me, and I want people who care with all their being. And I want to go to restaurants where they love cooking and they love food and they want to create a memorable experience.
Right.
And so nowadays I find that a lot of people are just like, I just want a job. I just want to say I'm a working actor, in which case they don't need to train.
Right.
Actually, training is optional in that case, because you can just go find a way to get jobs and network and get followers and you'll be hired.
Yes.
What we care about, and I think what the world cares about on the receiving end, are wonderful stories well told. Like really having skilled people, this relationship to quality.
Right.
That it's a wonderful script and it's a wonderful like the whole team, it's a perfect storm of really talented people with great craft coming together with all their hearts,
Right.
doing it. And that means you got to be good.
Yeah.
And so we're fighting against a tide right now of people who settle, who phone it in, who do the bare minimum and think that that's enough.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of their lives, to be morbid, they're not going to have a body of work based on that approach that contributed to
Right.
their own life and to the world who is waiting for their gifts.
Yeah. Or the art form.
The art form wants that.
Right. I think the word you used, extraordinary, it is extraordinary. And in the motto, we're striving for excellence. And that's not for everyone. Plenty of people want to do mid stuff. There's plenty of that out there. But I believe that what is possible, if you're going to spend the time, if you want to follow your heart's desire to be an actor, let's do the work and let's strive for that excellence. And I think that that's what training does. You can go the other route if you want to, that's the deal. But if you're going to say, I want to be an actor, let's go for it. Let's train for excellence. That's my MO.
To give the audience an experience that will be unforgettable, and to honor the writer who put their heart and soul, hopefully, into that writing, and the actor themselves to go, yeah. I mean, there's work I did as a student in Bill Esper's class 40 years ago or whatever that I still remember. Like amazing days, and also terrible days. I remember the bad work too. Or I was just thinking, like, one of the best plays I ever saw, I don't know if you saw Balm and Gilead, done by Steppenwolf in the mid-'80s. It was directed by John Malkovich. I mean, we didn't know Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf now, we can go, yeah, that's great Chicago theater. But this was the first time, and it was a co-production with a company that doesn't exist anymore called Circle Rep, Marshall Mason's company that was primarily devoted to the plays of Lanford Wilson, Balm and Gilead being a Lanford Wilson play. And it was a co-production, so there were some Circle actors and some Steppenwolf actors, but people who are household names now we'd never see. We didn't know Malkovich.
Right.
We didn't know Laurie Metcalf.
Right.
We didn't know Gary Sinise. We didn't know all these people and like 6 others in this incredible play that was done. I mean, I had to see it a couple times, and it was just done with such raw, juicy, imaginative passion, small space.
Yeah.
And then it got extended to a slightly bigger space. Never hit Broadway. It would have been too big for that thing. But it was just done with such love and care and skill and fierceness, passion and skill.
Yeah.
Malkovich, Gary Sinise, Laurie Metcalf. Laurie Metcalf had a half an hour monologue in that play. Just mind-blowing.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or when I saw Malkovich do Burn This,
Sure.
Lanford Wilson, and he had this entrance. He played the part of Pale, and they've already had a bunch of play for a while, and then he comes on and it's like,
Yeah.
the theater was on fire.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Right?
It just
And
explodes.
man, like
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to create, the
Right.
capacity
Right.
to create memories
Yeah.
for ourselves selfishly and for the audience, and to honor that writer.
Right. But also, in addition to that, the actor's work, that actor's excellence, tells a writer, I could write something for this.
Yeah.
I could create. I'm inspired to write
The
for
magic
this.
of that.
Right.
Yeah.
To turn around and say, I can tell this story with this actor.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Those actors are kindling for those creative artists.
And it's the opposite of mid.
Yeah,
You know?
it is.
And we want to excite you, people, to care about your time and your talent, and to invest in that and play the long game.
Right.
Because I'm going to do rather poorly one of the first exercises that you do in the Linklater work, which I remember. Just to let sound and breath touch each other. It starts with like, huh.
Right.
There's actually quality just to go, huh. Now, is that exciting? Not necessarily. Is that going to make, win an Emmy Award? No. But it's the seed of something, and then that becomes something else that's the next step. Maybe it's 3 steps down the road. Pardon my warping of the technique, and I don't mean to cheapen it, but it's
Not at all.
to be able to go, ha-hum-ma.
Right.
Ha-hum-ma, which has a couple of parts in it, and it starts down here, and then it does something here, and
Completely.
and there's an sound, and an ah sound, and a sound, which has to do with the breath, and how that practice of doing that every day creates the capacity to create something wonderful.
Right.
But it's not necessarily. It can be boring, right? Like the practice isn't necessarily
It's
alive,
true.
although if you do
It's
it with
true.
sincerity, there will be something there.
I think if you do it with curiosity.
Yes.
I think it's curiosity. The phrase "ha-hum-ma" is not fireworks.
Yes.
But I think if you can allow yourself to be curious about it, curious about yourself, knowing that you are on your way to full expression. We use the word sustainable, and I think that that's what practice and craft will offer an actor, a way towards sustainability. I also think we have to think about longevity, sustainable and longevity. And I think that curiosity and that attention to craft fosters longevity. You know what I mean? I think it starts at the seedling of but I'm looking for the long game to where I am fully able to express larger thoughts, larger feelings, big emotions, right? That it starts with that little simple touch of sound.
Yeah.
So
you have to be willing to be curious even when things are boring, and accept that it might not be earth-shattering, but that there might be. I'm just thinking about the way babies get interested in their toes.
Totally.
They find it very interesting.
Yeah.
And to own that this body that we've been given, and this penchant towards expressing and living out stories, when we have the equipment and the imagination and the openness and the curiosity, can create something special for yourself, for the writer, for the audience.
And human. Daringly human. Raringly human.
Because art has the capacity to heal, I think. Like, it's important. It's important what we do.
Right. But I also think, I do think about this a lot. That those voice vibrations, this is going to get a little weird, but those voice vibrations, my voice vibrations, I really do think of them as potentially the reflective pool of me. My voice reflects this self. It reflects my love, my fears, my dreams, my ambitions, my history, my memories. It potentially reflects that. And through my training, I can access that self and reveal that self because I've done this work over and over again. And so that when a screenwriter says, here, will you speak these words? Will you live this life? A playwright says, will you do this play? I have access to all of the humanity of me reflected out through my voice. So I can breathe life into that text because I've developed that connection and the ability to release myself from inside to outside. I mean, I'm still curious about that every day.
Yes, because we would say character work is a version of you, as opposed to a mask we put on. It's more a via negativa.
It's you at your most romantic.
Correct. To suit the story of, or me at my most shy.
At your most shy, right.
Which means the bold part of me that's also in that reflecting pool is just not going to be online for that part.
Exactly.
It's available, but it's
and
for
I'm
some other
thinking
part.
Specifically, I'm operating with specificity through what I'm doing. But I have access to it, and I'm not defaulting to, I do everything with rage, I'm doing Hamlet with rage, I'm doing Ophelia with rage, I'm doing it with, and it's like, let's move on. You're a complex human being. Let's get to the shades and subtleties of you,
To serve the story.
To serve the story, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. People, are you getting inspired? Because this is the real shit, my friends.
This is what I think about. This is what your voice class is like. Come on in.
Yeah.
Come on in.
You want to stop us? What's going on? Are we on time? Yeah, we get 2 minutes. Maybe just wrap it up.
There is something that, also on the opposite spectrum, when you are you have so much emotion that you tense up, how to do rage or how to do that, because your habits are to maybe tense up, but the voice classes help me so much to stay easy and even in those moments.
We have this interloper, this disembodied voice over there, Christopher Cavalier.
I can speak that because you're exactly right. Oftentimes, an actor will come in and say, oh, I was doing this scene and I got completely swept away by my emotional impulses and I started to feel this and that and my throat choked up and I couldn't, and nobody could understand me, couldn't hear me, and then I felt like I was losing it or whatever. And through practice, you can feel your feelings and you can express yourself through, but that comes with practice. That goes back to practicing.
Yeah.
You want to practice with stakes. You want to practice in connection with your emotional life so that when you are doing your work, you know yourself well enough, you know your body well enough and your voice tendencies well enough that you can let breath drop in and feel those feelings and communicate through those feelings, not be thwarted or capsized by them. And that does take practice. That takes practice.
And that's replacing a defensive habit with a new habit.
Well said.
That is saying, oh, I'm not going to die.
You can survive this.
Yes, survive and thrive. So someone was just talking about that in class today who says, I choke myself when I get to a certain level of feeling. And I said, well, you probably had a good reason for doing that at some point in your life.
Right.
It wasn't safe to be fully expressive with rage. So we want to just experiment a little bit with what happens if I soften. Bill Esper used to say you want to be limp with rage,
Yeah.
And I look at someone like Anthony Hopkins, who is, if anyone was a volcano, it's Anthony Hopkins.
Sure.
But he's so open and soft
Right.
In the body so that the fury, if it wants to come
the electrical current of that rage can be moved through him.
Without any, it's like he has, I don't know, a big SUV as opposed to a tiny little Cooper Mini.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to create some space in the instrument and experimenting, because I've never sent anyone to the hospital for a feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Right? So you getting mad, that protective habit of choking, what happens if we just gently invite a softening?
Yeah.
right? Which sometimes you as a coach can do and just
Right.
put your hand on their back and say, is it okay if I put my hand on your back?
And let's see if this
can we just allow
right.
this to unfold in a way that is safe and sustainable and brave. And then once you experience that, it's hard to put the milk back in the bottle.
Right.
You want to do it again.
And it starts to become a pattern that you
more's
can do
online. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it, friends. Matthew, thank you for spending some time. It's so easy to talk to you about what we both care so much about. And I'm so honored to have you here as the longest standing faculty member since, and you care so much. You just missed our Christmas party for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Shame on you, but you had reasons. But you're so loyal, and the students feel your care.
Yeah.
And if listening to this wonderful artist speak makes you curious, because just to be in the room with him is to start to work on it, you know.
Completely. Come on down.
If you think there are too many actors and there's no room for you, there is room for you because there's only one you.
Right.
And to release your talent and learn how to do it well, if this is what you love, if you love living out stories in your body, with your voice, with your imagination, with your thoughts and your heart and your guts, learn how to do it well because it's special. And the world is awaiting your gifts.
Yeah.
And to work on the voice is not easy, but really special. So thank you, Matthew.
Yeah. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.